Thank you for allowing us to share our story of the journey that we've been on with Which in turning Which from a perhaps old-fashioned but effective direct response advertiser into a more modern marketing innovator in what we call integrated brand performance marketing, and we'll explain what that means. So Robin and I will do a double act, and I will hand over to Robin in a moment, who will take us through a bit of background, what the challenges were and the strategy that we developed, and then I will continue to show you what we did, what we learned along the way, and the results that we delivered. But before I hand over to Robin, I wanted to try an interactive bit. Now, the room is not ideal for that, but we're going to try anyway. So what do you know of Which? What do you think we're all about? So just shout some words out, please, to me. Don't need a microphone. Consumer, yes? So when I talk about the fact that I work at Which, the most common response I get is, oh yes, the magazine people, and yeah, you test washing machines, don't you? When we ask consumers, what are the 3 words you most strongly associate with Which, this is what it shows up as. So they talk about product reviews, they talk about advice, and about testing. So what we will tell you throughout the course of this short presentation and the journey that we've been on is that there's so much more to the brand and so much more to what we do and the meaning we have for consumers. So over to Robin.
Thank you. So let me start back at the beginning for Which, go back a few years. So Which has been the consumer's champion for over 60 years. And it's founded in 1957, not for profit, that will never change. As Claudia says, sell information, advice, campaigns very hard on behalf of consumers, £100 million these days, and 1.5 million customers. So it's a huge organisation. A little bit of background to this. How did it start? And I think some of you are probably old enough to remember the prize draw days of the direct mail packs that used to go out for Which. They sent a huge volume out and had done for 45 years. And the prize draw basically said, enter this for £300,000 prize money, or enter for some opportunity to win a car. Those entrants came in. They were incentivised again with a camera to try and get 99p free trial for 3 months, and at Which we used to send them the magazine. So that's the background. But clearly there's quite a lot of waste in sending 1.2 million direct mail packs out every single month. So we looked very carefully at audience. Who are we targeting? Who's going to stay with us? Who's the stickiest? Who are we going to retain for the longest time? So we spent a lot of time on segmentation, as you'd expect, and we looked at who would have the greatest affinity to stay with Which, who's the most interested in our brand and products and advice and reviews. And effectively the model goes, who has some time on their hands and who has some time to make a considered decision. So in reality, unconfident researchers. So we took this opportunity to move away from the direct mail prize draws and move into how do we reassert our position as the consumer's champion. So we started to identify areas of mass confusion that consumers felt in the marketplace. We developed propositions to address these needs, and it manifested itself in multiple guides or magazines. And that has been hugely successful now for a good decade or more. And I'm going to take you back to 2005 so you can get an idea of the type of early guides that we used to do.
Not again.
Need help?
Oh, I can do it myself.
Frustrated with your PC? To get your free copy of the Which Easy Use PC Guide, call 0800 920 120 now. It's full of essential information to help solve your PC problems. It shows you how to install software, including Windows Vista, how to maintain your PC at home, get the best from the internet. Worried about identity theft? Our free guide tells you how to keep your files safe. There are handy tips on setting up an email account. Even how to use your PC for printing and sending digital photography, and much, much more. And because it's from Which, you know it's advice you can trust.
Hey!
Call 0800 920 120 now for your easy use PC guide. That's 0800 920 120. It's free from Which.
It's frightening, isn't it? Only 10 years old, and that was the standard in those days, but there you go. But the great news, I guess, in terms of taking the business forward over time, was this improved our return on investment 3.5 times. And you can see the difference there between the prize draw response rate, or ROI, and the prospect guide. So we know we had a new model. However, the model was very successful, continues to be successful, but it's very, very linear. And I think you touched on a minute ago, the journeys are changing, so that's something to hold a thought for. And the journey is very simple. So we do multiple channels, we drive people to the phone to request one of those guides, we get them in, and we either get people to take out a trial, give us some money and take out a trial for a month or 3 months, and then turn it to a subscriber, or we build a big prospect pool. And obviously, over this period, digital sort of came into the mix. Once again, a very similar linear journey, very simple linear journey. But the difference now, instead of it being mass consumer, a sort of need up the top, it's now immediate need that's coming into the marketplace. So they're wanting reviews on washing machines there and then. So hugely successful. Here's a map going back from 2002. You can see the decline from the prize draws here to 2005, and then TV has made a huge impact in subscriber volumes over this period. So it's been a fantastic journey, and we're still on it. But we faced a few challenges, particularly in 2015, and 4 key challenges sort of faced us. One was we were fishing in the same pool, that's number one. Apologies for these images. But DRTV weight meant we were starting to maximise and optimise too much in those audiences. Number 2 is we were starting to see more repeat trialists come in. They were coming in and out of the model all the time, so they kept requesting guides so we can convert them to long-term, sustainable, profitable customers. And our services have grown, so we no longer were just a magazine business. We were moving into university switch, legal products, mortgage products, but our awareness was really, really low of these things. And then finally, the journeys were much more complicated, hence the snakes and ladders. No longer linear, simple journeys. So we sort of borrowed a little bit from Burnett and Field. We started to look at where are we investing. Clearly, we were investing very much at the bottom of the funnel, short-term returns, immediate prospects. We knew we had to move further up the model to become more relevant to these wider audiences. We needed to pull them through the model to increase our prospect pool. So how we interpreted that was long-term people in the market. We want to drive reach and frequency, to drive awareness, consideration, nudge those people down to the next part of the model to make sure they're in market. Then we needed to activate those people. And then we needed to move them through to engage and harvest, and then drive more volume into our mix. So Claudia is going to chat you through each of those 3 parts for the rest.
Right. So, what did we do? In terms of step 1, in order to drive the awareness and consideration for our new products, like Which Legal, Which Trusted Traders, Which University, we took a multi-million-pound sponsorship package across 3 popular channels, Channel 4, UKTV, and ITV3. So you might say, so what's so special about doing that? It's just a bunch of bumper ads. But for me, the cool thing about it is that it wasn't a traditional sponsorship, and in theory, it shouldn't work, and we broke all the rules of best practice of sponsorship, but actually it did work. So the first rule, if you like, or the best practice, is to link your brand with the programming that you're featured in. But what we did was we bought a plethora of channels and programs across Dave, Drama, Gold, Alibi, W. So they don't really, even the channels are very different, and then the programs within that were very different again. So we developed an idea that carried across, which was called Good Decisions. And the idea was that which helps you make good decisions, but also the sort of perhaps slightly tenuous link, but we got away with it, was that it's a good decision that you're watching that show on that particular channel. The second rule that we broke was that you should only really have one brand or sub-brand per TV sponsorship. And we didn't do that. We had in fiscal year 15-16, we had 5 sub-brands, and in this fiscal year, we have even added another 2, so we're now at 7. And just to give you a feel for what that means in terms of execution, we ended up developing 48 different ads with well over 100 different variations for each of the channels. Then the third rule that we broke is that you should keep your creative fresh and have lots of different variants. But because of the complexity of what we've bought and what we executed, we couldn't really afford that. So we kind of went with it and hoped for the best. We tracked it, of course, through our brand tracking, and we did see ad wear out, going up over the course of the year, but it stayed at manageable levels, and it didn't actually go over 33%. So let me show you some of the creative ads, and don't worry, I'm not showing all 48.
Which Consumer Rights sponsors great stories on drama. Good decision. Which Consumer Rights sponsors great stories on drama. Good decision. Which Mortgage Advisors sponsors real life on Really. Good decision. Which Mortgage Advisors sponsors real life on Really. Good decision. Which sponsors real life on Really. Good decision. Which sponsors real life on Really. Good decision. Which university sponsors entertainment on Gold? Good decision.
So this sponsorship campaign, in terms of results, we achieved 92% reach of our core audience and an annual frequency of 150, so very high frequency impressions. And it drove awareness to a record high of 47, so that was up by 5 points. We were already high, but it drove it even further, as well as consideration also went up by 5 points to 55. So that was step one. Step two, we integrated a new sort of generation of what we call brand response TV commercials into the sponsorship to then, with the aim of activating the increased consideration. So I'll show the creative first, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about why we put it together in that way and what it did for us and what we learned. Some of the production values are perhaps not there, but this is because we were testing it and we were saying, let's just do it and see what it does, and then we can always worry about the production values later.
Do you hate Not every car is as reliable under the bonnet as the next. The Which Car Reliability Check is powered by the UK's biggest car reliability survey of more than 67,000 cars, giving you the lowdown on your chosen car's most common faults. Before you buy your next car, make sure it's reliable. Search Which Car Check. Another good decision made easy.
That was the first one. Let's see if I can play the... Ooh, no. Is it possible to play the second one, the nuisance call ad?
Do you hate unwanted mobile spam calls?
I can't stand those calls, the ones you never ask for.
They're so annoying, they always call when you least want them as well.
And this annoying spam and dodgy scams.
Like accidents you never had.
And it's the unsolicited ones. I never even agreed to them.
Seems there are more and more of them.
Our records show you are due a refund.
While many calls are perfectly fine and even useful, we still get loads of calls to our mobiles we haven't asked for and don't want. Well, Which has put together a free opt-out tool to help stop unsolicited calls to your mobile. Just text opt-out to 80057, Which will then send you the simple steps to help stop them.
Well, it was really simple, and it took a couple of minutes, and now I've made it really clear I don't want to receive those cold calls.
For your free Which opt-out tool to help stop unwanted mobile calls, text opt-out now to 80057.
Done.
So these new ads offer a series of mobile tools that add value to consumers' lives. And the nuisance call one in particular, I think is a great example of Which delivering on its mission of making consumers as powerful as the organizations they deal with in their daily lives. So we make consumers powerful with tools that help them block those unwanted calls from PPI compensation salespeople, and with tools that help them understand the reliability of their car before they buy it. Those commercials drive an immediate response on the second screen, the mobile that you're holding, or the third screen, the mobile that you're holding in your hand. And it's an easy and more modern way of doing response to DRTV. The response then also generates data and, of course, for us, permission to use it. So activating that consideration really worked for us. So what you can see here is that we not only did we drive 8 times more response from those types of ads than the usual DRTV ads that we run, but we also found new audiences by going after terrestrial channels. So in this step 2, we activated the consideration, drove response, got data and permission to use it. So this third step then was using that data to identify with those prospects or those people where they hang out online. So once we found them, we engaged them in a conversation, and not just one-off, at quite high frequency, about offering advice and tools that give them power. So it's about finding a bank that offers you a decent customer service. It's about getting the broadband speed that you've paid for and therefore are entitled to, about everything from scams to smart meters. And we give all of this for free. So this, again, was a gamble. It, of course, cost money to produce all of this, but we believed that this should work, and therefore secure budget to test and gave it a punt. So all of this was for free advice, free tools, free content. So the results were strong. The engagement and click-through rate were 2 to 3 times higher than what we see from our standard digital advertising. And we followed it then up with the final step of asking them or offering them the opportunity to become a subscriber or a member of Which. Because they had engaged with us, we demonstrated the value that the brand could offer and make them more powerful. And then I guess the final piece of the puzzle was that they also became more loyal subscribers. So that, in short, is our journey towards the future of TV advertising for Which. It's been one from effective but perhaps old-fashioned DRTV performance towards integrated brand performance. It started with creating awareness and consideration on the back of the sponsorship. We activated that investment with the mobile tools. And then we followed it with engagement and demonstrating the value that we can add as a brand by using paid social media techniques. And then finally, we made money from that engagement to come full circle and drive the performance outcome of DRTV. So the question that I thought you might be asking is, will we still use old-fashioned DRTV? And I think the answer to that will be yes, it's effective, so why not? But we now have a new tool in the TV armory, if you like, that drives incremental income from a more engaged and more loyal member base. So that, I think, is our immediate future of brand investment in TV. So that's it. So we've got, I think, time for some questions.
Thank you both very much indeed. That was absolutely classic, brilliant use of data, and all stages through the purchase funnel. It couldn't have been designed better, and it was by accident. Neither Erwin was told to do that, nor they were. So that was really good. Are there any pressing questions from anybody in the audience? Okay.
Either extremely dull or extremely...
No. Again, please, show your appreciation. Thank you very much indeed.